Leaving religion can be one of the most difficult things that we do as people because we feel like religion is part of our identities. We adopt them as part of us, our living being, right? Our essence. And this is why it's so hard to untether ourselves from these paradigms because we feel like it's personal to us. And we also fear leaving them because we feel like we'll lose a big part of ourselves, part of our identity gone, as well as the comfort and peace that comes with these religious beliefs. But I'm here to show you that in this video, not only can you leave religion and be still a peaceful person, but you can perhaps even have a more prosperous perspective on life. I'm going to walk you through my story, how I left religion, and how I filled that empty hole, that spiritual hole that remained when I left religion. Let's go. So I've been an atheist for about 8 years now. And for all my life, I thought it was part of my identity. I thought it was necessary. I thought it was a necessary thing to believe in. And I thought that these were sacred beliefs that nobody can touch. And that if you did, that's a bad thing to do. And I never really questioned them. I never questioned my beliefs. So I kind of just had these religious notions in the back of my mind while also having a passion for science and astronomy and learning. But I never really thought that there was some kind of compatibility issues between these two things. I kind of just went along with it, and I realized that I kind of try to meld these two things together, science and religion. I could kind of reconcile the two. I just dismissed any possible issues and said, nope, they're compatible, science can fit with my religion, and that's it. I never questioned it and went out my life. So my beliefs never changed at all until I was 20. Plus, my family and friends all around me also believed the same. They never really questioned it. And so I just kind of felt comfortable with that and went along with it, just like everybody else. I even remember being a teenager and watching Neil deGrasse Tyson, who I admired, but I didn't admire when he was talking negative things about religion. He was critiquing religion. And when I viewed these videos where he would critique things like intelligent design, I would get frustrated at him. I would be mad and I felt angry that he was attacking my belief. And it felt very personal. It felt like an attack on me. Because we tend to hold this notion in our minds that there's some God watching us, and whenever somebody tries to attack it, they're the bad guy. And this is something that most religious people feel. They feel like they can't touch my belief. It's my personal thing. And I realize now that that was just a manifestation of the toxicity in these religious paradigms. But when you're religious, when you have the God goggles on, all you can see the world through is God. It feels like that anybody who tries to talk bad about it is doing that on purpose. They're being hateful on purpose. Because how can they not believe in God? He's got to be real. There's no way. There's no questioning it, right? So this mentality is a very toxic thing. But I felt victim to it for much of my life. So one day, about 8 years ago, I was at work, and I was at a warehouse where we typically take packages from trucks, put them on a conveyor belt, and they get sent out into the factory. While I was working, we typically have another person in the trailer with us helping. And for an hour or so, we get to talk to each other. We get to converse. And there was this one person, this one employee, who I was fond of. His name was Bradley. He's a very good guy, a very nice guy. But he was religious. He was a very religious person. He believed in God. He was a Christian. And he's almost fundamentalist to a degree. We used to talk about science and religion, and I would always bring up evolution, talk to him about science and things like that. And he asked me a question one day. He said, Mike, do you believe in evolution or Adam and Eve? And I said, both. It was a hard question for me to answer. I kind of thought about it for a second. I was like, wait, he has a point there. How can it be both? So that day, I really went back to the drawing board. I didn't really have a good answer for him, right? So I learned more about evolution. I dived deeper into the Bible, and I realized that, they're not compatible with each other. There's something wrong here. There's some compatibility issue that I have not addressed. And from that moment on, I went deeper and deeper. I learned more about the inconsistencies in the Bible, the contradictions, and the ridiculous stories in it. And over time, weeks, my faith in Christianity began to slowly fade away. It wasn't just this one moment where I just changed, right? That's a very difficult thing to happen. It took time to learn and grow. And that's what it means to leave religion. So after about a few months, I really called myself an atheist from that moment on. And it was hard to reconcile with, right? I felt nervous. I felt frightened, frankly, that perhaps I'm doing something wrong. And that, because always in our back of our minds is this, little guy saying, hey, God could exist. It's possible. And, when you have this person in your mind going, hey, it's possible that God's there, you feel frightened that maybe you are wrong, right? And hey, maybe I'm doing the wrong thing. But that was at the first moment, right? When you leave religion, that's some of the hardest things to get over. It's hard to ignore that in pursuit of truth and logic, right? It's hard to ignore that intuition that we all have as people, that fear aspect to us. But after a while, you realize that that's actually what kept me in the religion, right? The more my belief in God faded, the more I realized how tricked I was, how scammed I was to be part of this thing, where I was basically believing in fear and ignorance. So when you become an atheist for, the first year or so, I felt my experience was anger. I felt angry that I was scammed, and I felt angry that people around me didn't tell me otherwise. They didn't question me. And I felt betrayed. And I felt angry that the world is pushing this ridiculous narrative. And although I had justification for that anger, it was misplaced. I was angry at the wrong people. And this is something I learned after, I realized that it's not people's faults necessarily. It's the fear in us. It's the human nature that's really at fault here. And it's just a matter of teaching people and educating people. So 2, 3 years later, I'm atheist, but I still have this fear of hell, right? That lingers in me, the back of my mind. This fear is still there of, hey, maybe there is a hell, right? There could be a hell. And it was a very slight fear, but the point is that it's still there. It's gone today, but it was still there for the first few years of me leaving religion. It was hard to let go, and that's some of the hardest things to let go, that fear of going to hell. What got me out of it is realizing that if God is a loving being, he would never punish somebody for simply not believing. I think that's a ridiculous thing to punish somebody for. If this God is all-knowing and omniscient and the smart genius he says he is, why would he see logical thinking or critical thinking as something negative? And that kind of got me out of that. The main idea here is that humans are driven by fear of not only going to hell, right, being punished, but also fear of missing out of reward, right? What if God exists and there is some kind of reward, right? What if I go to heaven and there's something great out there that I'm missing by not believing, right? That fear of missing out also takes a role in this. But that's the point. Humans are driven by these primitive, mindsets that we evolved to have. Snapping out of this is the hardest thing to do. So leaving religion, it takes this letting go process when you kind of let go of everything. You kind of just strip away all these beliefs until you're back to bare bones, nothing, right? You're just a person. Your perspective, when you take off your goggles, should be, hey, I'm just a person existing, right? That's all we know. You go back to the bare bones. What do we know about reality? What are we very, very maximally certain about? I'm alive. There's existence. And that's it, right? And when you go back to those bare bones ideas, that's when you can start building up from there. But it takes that stripping away, right? That tearing down the foundation to really leave religion, to really let go of it. And a lot of people have resistance towards this. Especially religious people. They don't want to leave their religion. They feel comfortable in it, and they feel like they have a good mindset, right? And they fear not having that mindset, right? Religious people love to say, oh, you think we're just matter, emotion. There's no meaning to life there, right? Or what's our purpose if God doesn't exist? And these are things that keep us in the religion. But what they don't realize is that letting go of these things is actually beneficial for them. It's interesting how that dichotomy exists, right? The thing we fear the most is the thing that actually makes us the most powerful. As a religious, you're very You have so many expectations for the world. You expect so many things. You expect an afterlife. You expect a God looking after you. You expect justice. You expect knowledge, right? You expect all these things, and you hope for many things as well. Eternal paradise, an afterlife, reuniting with your friends and family that have passed, right? You expect and hope all these things, and they kind of get built up in your mind. And it's hard to let those go. It's hard to say, yep, nope, there is no afterlife. All we have is this. That's it. That is such a difficult thing to do. But it's so beneficial in doing. You know, the quote, losing all hope is freedom, actually has some truth to it. When I lost these expectations and hopes, I became free. I became a person who now, whatever happens, happens. And I no longer expect there to be. I'm no longer disappointed if these things are not true. I now embrace the harsh reality. Become comfortable with the uncomfortable. You start to embrace it. And then is when you become free as a person, as a free thinker. Because now you can freely look at reality as it really is and not be scared or frightened by it. Not be so focused on, your desires or imposing your desires upon reality. Now you can see it as it really is, and that's freedom. So moving forward in present day, where do I get my purpose from as an atheist? How do I get meaning? How do I extract meaning from the world? Why do I do this, right? What's the reason for this? And the first part in answering this question is to realize that these questions are bad questions. Recognize that the even asking the question, what's the purpose for existing? That question doesn't make any sense. First of all, we can ask this question about God, right? Why does God exist? What's God's purpose? What's the reasoning behind God? And if you think that God just exists and gives us purpose, there's no purpose that you have just for existing. Purpose is exchanged, and we can exchange things, and we can, in that process, we can yield purpose and meaning in our lives. We can make it can emanate from us. And when you realize that, when you let go of the notion that there's some kind of objective cosmic purpose out there for us as humans, when you realize that you can make it, well, then you become even more of a very prosperous person. Because I'm no longer living my life to appease some magic being out there that I can't see. Now the things I do in my life are real. They have real consequences to them. And I can really see the effects of them. So that now your sense of purpose becomes more urgent. Because not only are you doing something real and affecting people in real time, but now you're racing against the clock, right? Now when you recognize that life is finite, that you don't get an afterlife, right? When you have that notion in your mind, when you recognize the fragility of life, well, now your purpose becomes more urgent. You become more of a person that wants to do more things, leave a legacy behind, do something impactful. Not because there's some cosmic wizard out there giving you a reward or, clapping for you and making you feel good, but because you really want to make a real impact on the world around you. You really want to do something good. You really want to do something great. Because when you have this bare bones perspective on reality, right, that we are just matter emotion, the thing that religious people love to shun away from, right? Oh, you think we're just matter and motion? Well, where's the meaning in that? What's the purpose if we're just matter emotion? Well, everything becomes the purpose because we're matter emotion. Because look at what this matter and motion can do. Look at what we are. We're breathing, living things. Our heart is beating. Our brains are activated. Look at what this is. Look at what we are. Look at what this world is. I mean, it's an amazing world we live in because there is nobody doing it, but because we are here by natural chance. It's a more amazing, a more wondrous world we live in because it is here by chance, that there is nobody designing it, right? If God existed, of course he could design it, and anybody can design this world. God could have done way better than this. But if we are here by chance, natural chance, where our lives are finite, these experiences we have are finite experiences that we'll never get again. We'll never be in this place ever again. Well, now every day becomes a gift, right? Instead of every day being a test to see how well you can obey God's commands, now every day becomes a gift a race to see how well you can help other people, how impactful you can be, how many things you can learn about the world. Every day I learn something, I begin to appreciate the world more because it becomes that much more wondrous. I mean, think about it. We can explore other worlds. We can send spaceships to other planets. We can travel across the world. We can discover new species of living beings that never been discovered before. We can ponder about the nature of existence. We can ponder about the universe's workings, the quantum mechanics. We can discover the Big Bang and look at things that have happened billions of years ago in the past, looking at these gigantic telescopes that we invented. We can invent artificial intelligence and quantum computing that changes the world forever. We can actually help people with illnesses by developing medicines. There are so many things and possibilities that we can do as people. And that alone is amazing. And through this, I begin to appreciate other people because they're matter in motion. I mean, wow, we are matter in motion. Look at what we are. And every person in this planet is another fragile, delicate existence of experience, memories, experience. That's what we are. That's amazing. So I begin to appreciate other people. My family, my friends become more amazing to me and more wondrous as people. Because look at who they are. Look at the impact they had on me. And these interactions is what gives us meaning. Meaning now emerges from these interactions between us and the external world. So I'm no longer waiting for purpose to come to me like some kind of Uber. I'm now able to produce it, generate purpose and meaning for others. I'm able to do something great. I'm able to do something that does influence other people. This perspective is so much more healthy. A secular perspective on the world, one in which there is nobody watching us, but only we holding ourselves accountable for our actions, right? That's a way more healthy mindset. It's like falling in love with life. I love people. I love life. And this is what motivates me every day to keep going. Every day becomes a gift, a new chance to change something, to make another person's life better. And that's what drives me now. That's such a powerful perspective that I'll never take for granted. Also, my appreciation for life grows every time I learn something or am wrong about something. Every time I'm wrong about something, my appreciation for life increases. Because now it's like, wow, I can be wrong. I am fallible. There's another world out there that's mysterious to me to learn about. And the mystery keeps growing and growing. The more we learn about the world, the more mysterious life becomes. That's perhaps one of the most amazing facts about reality. That it's learnable. It's understandable. And that is what drives me even more. So now I have this passion for people, for life, and also for achieving that goal of understanding things more. And with that is a compounding effect of prosperity and abundance for our world. Science is the engine of prosperity in our world, and something religion will never achieve, because religion says that, nope, I'm not wrong, I can't be wrong, I'm infallible because I have this book here that says all the truth. And that's all we need. It's all in this book here. And that thinking stops you. As soon as you read the Bible, you stop thinking. You stop thinking big. And that's really what hinders you from progressing. That's why people still believe in these talking snakes and talking donkeys in 2023. Because it stops you from thinking when you read the Bible. It stops all thinking. All critical thinking goes. And you begin to feel like you have all the answers, and you're unwilling to learn something that's grander out there. And this cosmic perspective always amazes me every day. This perspective in which we are living on this delicate, fragile planet, this one speck in a vast universe. I mean, look at the implications of this perspective where we are just these one things, these fragile existences in this grand universe, where the notion of us having some kind of purpose, right, that we are somehow the main characters of the story, that notion utterly is dwarfed by this cosmic perspective, right? The notion that we are special in the universe diminishes when you look at us from space, and when you look at things from a larger perspective. Like Sagan says, in all this vastness, there's no hint that somebody will come and save us, right? It's really up to us. It's up to us. If we crave some kind of purpose, let's do something purposeful. Let's achieve something purposeful. Let's set ourselves a worthy goal and achieve it. Let's generate purpose. Let's let it emanate from us, instead of wasting time waiting for it to get to us.